Hello, this is Grief on a Tuesday night, 26. Going to be a bit of a shorter one today, but I've swapped microphones actually. I really get annoyed when anything I do in terms of making a little video or doing anything like this isn't right and doesn't sound good or look as best as it can. Um, and that last one, listen back, I was doing so many little adjustments on that the microphone I'd got from Amazon. Now it looked nice and it's got a little glowy light thing on it and whatever else. But I went back to my original one that I was using anyway, and just did a little test on it. And my God, it sounded so much better straight away. I wish I'd just carried on using it. There really didn't seem much of a reason not to. So yeah, I wasn't very happy with that last one, and there was quite a lot in that last one. So I'm pretty annoyed because I can't go over it again. It'd be a waste of everyone's time to do that. One thing I didn't mention was that I am hugely worried at the moment. I worry massively for my lad, as and when there's a time when I'm not around. I worry that if it happens soon, how he's going to cope. It's something that's kept me awake. Something that I've thought a lot about, probably over the last sort of 6 months. And I've been meaning to put things down on a sort of sheet of paper with lots of sort of you'll need to do this for this. This is for the bills. This is the passcode to get to the bank. This is the passcode for emails and whatever else. Different passwords for different things, whatever, and just have everything laid out. Because I know how things affected me when I didn't have that, and I was having to plow through different corporations and emails, and obviously I spoke about that in the very first one, and how that absolutely just tortured my mind, to be honest. And I'd like to lay things out as easily as I can, so that you could go, right, I can sort this. I've tried to really nail down as few sort of things like direct debits as possible, so I haven't really got that many. And yeah, basically just get things set up for him. And I don't want to think about it. Of course I don't, but I just have to. And when you see your friends die younger, and you see a lot of people go in their 50s and whatever, it makes you realise, you're not guaranteed anything. Anything could happen at any point. You see sports people going in the mid-20s, and there was a young lad this week, I think, who was at the Albion for a little while, and I think he was playing somewhere in Portugal, but yeah, 25 and just dropped dead on the pitch. You just don't know. So yeah, I want to make things as easy as possible, and I feel like saying to him, to be honest, you'll have a house against your name if nothing else, and maybe a bit of savings or what have you. But if you want, sell it. Keep the possessions somewhere, but sell it and go and do what you want. If it means going somewhere you really want to go to, or you use it to move house somewhere else, or do it. Live your life. Go and do it. Don't think twice. If it's something you really want, something that absolutely matters to you. Don't be frivolous with it. I'm not expecting you to go to Vegas and sort of spunk it all on red sort of 14 or anything like that. So yeah, don't be frivolous with it, but invest it if you like, and just invest it in yourself. And I'd like him to do that. That would be, so if there's anything I could leave, which is very, very little in terms of any sort of legacy. It's a joke even saying that, really, for me, but it would be that if he could have some sort of protection in life. And annoyingly, when I was thinking about this a little while ago, I was eating and drinking a little bit better, sort of looking after myself, and he made some sort of comment about that's really good, because if you drink too many of those, it's making you sort of less risk of having a heart attack and things like that. So, and I don't know, just over the last 2 or 3 months, I've gone back to, just not eating or drinking very well. probably do better when we're on one of the trips away, and I tend to have longer spells of not having anything to eat or drink or crap. It's one decent meal a day and maybe a bit of breakfast. And whereas, just I don't know. I can't get my head around it. I'd really like to do something about it, but I sometimes just don't have that mental strength to do it. So yeah, I'll definitely want to get something set up so that he's covered it. It scares me in a lot of ways. It scares me. I've said before, politically, I think the way that the politicians have left this country, it's a fucking disgrace. I think all of them, 99% of them, they should be dragged out of that fucking building in London by their fucking heels, and they should be beaten for what they've done to this country. The things especially that have come to light, I guess, over the last few months, I think this country has become conditioned that no matter how horrifically bad the news is, whether it be the rape gangs, which is just, calling it a national disgrace isn't enough. It's just not enough. And the fact that the politicians, mainly Labour, but Tories as well, will stand there and block inquiries and block votes on it as to whether the inquiries go further. It's fucking staggering. It's just insane. They need fucking dragging out and beating. Every single fucking one of them. They're self-serving scumbags. They look after themselves. They're only interested in themselves. And now they're just importing voters. And I'll tell you what, like I say, I hate the Tories. Labour, twice as much with fucking sprinkles on top. They're just accelerating the fucking demise of this country in such a way. I dread to think, I don't think we'll get as far as 3 years for the next election. There's not really going to be much of a country left. But if they were to get into power again, this country's fucked. It's finished. I think it's not far from being finished now. But it will be without doubt. It's over for the UK. So I personally don't think we're voting our way out of this, if you can understand that. For various reasons, I don't think we'll be able to vote our way out of this. And I just hope, it was a bit of a long way around of saying, but I just hope that when it comes to the crunch, I just hope that the money the house will be worth will be enough for Daniel to get away somewhere, wherever that might be, and just get out of this impending fucking shithole that this place is becoming. I hate politicians. I hate them with a passion. And I find what's going on it's so fucking depressing. I mean, I don't watch the news, but the trouble is, you look at social media and you can't avoid things. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like I say, I think people are becoming conditioned that no matter how bad that news is, it's forgotten about very quickly. You've got attacks, you've got rapes, and then you've got someone being beheaded in Ireland. Literally in the middle of a street with a guy on top. Just fucking staggering. That surely 10 years ago would have been on the news, and it would have been massive headlines everywhere. But now they're all too afraid. The likes of Sky and BBC and whatever, they're too afraid. Oh, we better not say, even though this guy was trying to behead someone in the street, better not say anything because it might look like we're racist or something like that. The big old R word comes out, doesn't it? The big fucking R word comes out. And that's the way it's been. The police have all gone down that route as well. Now, it's just unbearable. It's fucking unbearable. And this country has become a joke. People like Dave, or Zach Polanski as he calls himself, has actually got people who vote for him. He's insane, and the people who vote for him are probably twice as insane. It beggars fucking belief that people can look at a guy like that. He doesn't represent the fucking Green Party, or not as I remember him anyway. An absolute fucking, it's just insanity. And yeah, the Uni Party, the Tories and Labour, well, fucking hell, the cheeks are the same arse, aren't they? But Labour are just speeding things up more quickly in terms of heading into the abyss than the Tories ever did. So another reason for just saying I just hope he uses that money wisely and just gets the fuck out of here, quite frankly. I'm still tempted, if I could, to just do something myself, just for a better life of whatever's left. I've looked a few times online and sort of looked up X amount. What would X amount get you in this country or that country or whatever? Yeah, it's pretty depressing. Like I say, I haven't watched the news in years and years, but and funnily enough, I said something to a family relative yesterday about there was a guy running around with a machete in Truro, and not a million miles away from where they are, and the first thing she said was, "Oh, I'll watch the news later." And I thought they won't show that on the news. Yeah, the minute the bloke was identified, it was like they won't show that on the news at all. They'll try and cover it up. They'll call him a local man. That's the next thing, isn't it? He arrived sort of 6 months ago from Eritrea or Somalia, but now it'll be a local man, Truro man, and they'll do anything. Not to look like it's sort of, it's a bit wrong, it's a bit racist. Oh no. And that's the point. She said to me, "Yeah, I'll watch it on the news." It's like, well, you won't see anything on the news. And the trouble is, there's probably millions and millions of people who don't see the truth because they don't see it online. And yeah, it's really fucking depressing. So yeah, I hope. I just hope he can use it wisely for his own benefit. And I'm glad at the end of the day, there is something to give him. I've talked to people over the years at work and people who rent and whatever else, and they haven't really got anything to pass on. And I don't get me wrong, I know that governments and especially Labour will tax the fuck out of everyone when they're dead and in any possible way they can. I know that. But some of these people who just rented houses and whatever else had nothing to sort of pass on to them. So at least he's got something, and fuck, I just hope he's use it wisely, but yeah, use it for your benefit and just enjoy your life. So yeah, I hope this comes out a bit clearer. And this is following on from a weekend when Villa got beat 4-0 by Brighton as well. What a delight that was. Jesus Christ. The squad being absolutely decimated over the summer. It's not a refresh. It's been gutted, the squad. The sort of team that was at the weekend was, when you saw the lineup, was the sort of team that would start a second round League Cup game against sort of Charlton Athletic at home. That's no disrespect to them, but it was that type of team, and it looked like that type of team. Brighton really didn't have to, after the first 10 minutes, didn't really have to try that hard. We just imploded and completely fell apart. 4-0 at half time with a man sent off. I mean, I was shouting at the TV that he'd already got a stupid yellow, then had a foul that could have easily been a yellow and been sent off. Just get him off he's like a walking time bomb. Whatever the reason is, whatever it is, just get him off because we're going to lose him. And lo and behold, we did. I sort of thought that Brighton declared in the second half because I feared for us at 4-0 with 10. We're potentially starting a game with a 5-6-0 defeat, which is just unthinkable. I get that. If you've got a manager like Steven Gerrard or whatever, I get that, but we haven't. I'd say we've probably got the best manager in the Premier League. So it was a dreadful start. I'm not massively convinced by some of the names coming in. Whether they make us better in the long term, I don't know. But whether they do it enough to get us a European place this year, which is what we need, because if we don't, I don't know what happens at that point. I think we've downgraded in a lot of positions. They're talking today about Mateta from Palace. Well, I mean, if he's a replacement for Tammy Abraham, acceptable. If he's a replacement for Ollie Watkins, what a massive downgrade. Don't expect him to be running any channels or doing any of the stuff that Watkins does that Emery wants his forward player to do. He's in the middle at the moment of wrangling with Crystal Palace about his contracts, and he'll take them to court and all this sort of stuff. Do we really want that? It's bad enough with what Watkins did, not playing at the weekend. That's bad enough. I mean, this guy's taking it on a sort of stage further. It just seems so disjointed, just like last year. I feel we're going to get to the end and make a couple of panic buys, especially if Watkins and Martinez don't go. Clearly, that's going to narrow down maybe on what we can do. I don't know. I mean, the whole restriction thing, yeah, everybody knows what that is. Everyone knows it's a closed shop for the so-called Sky Six. I was going to say so-called they are the Sky Six. Sorry, it's the so-called Big Six, because the fact that Tottenham are in there is fucking laughable. They're not Big Six. But Revenue Six, Sky Six, absolutely. They're Sky's favourites, and they'll do anything to look after them. And yeah, it's a closed shop. But what I would say is that, I mean, last season we, a bit like Newcastle, we spunked some money on some terrible players. Jadon Sancho was an absolute fucking waste of time. Obviously, Harvey Elliott, nothing against the lad, a good lad, and has had a lot of good things to say about Villa. I liked him a lot, but the whole transfer was a complete shambles. And I feel like we're heading down that way again. Why would we get rid of a 30-year-old striker and bring a 29-year-old striker when supposedly we're talking about really reducing the age of the squad? Mateta won't be cheap either in terms of wages. I'd hazard a guess he wouldn't be on a lot less than what Ollie Watkins would be on now. If it's a case of those two, Watkins and Abraham, go and it's him and Nicholas Jackson, then so be it. I think Jackson is an Emery type player, and he's going to be more the sort of player who fills the role that Watkins will leave. But it just seems so chaotic. I know a lot of the podcasters out there were talking about they were happy that Suzuki didn't play in a battering like that, and yet he's going to play against Arsenal. That team isn't going to change very much. I think that's what people need to... We're not suddenly going to have 5 players back from nowhere. That team is actually going to be a bit weaker because Gomez won't be in it. And the likelihood is Abraham and Maggio aren't going to be good to go. And if they are, probably just as subs. We're going to get absolutely battered. I mean, Arsenal are a completely different proposition to Brighton. No offence to them, but they just are. You're playing the league champions. You're playing a team who got to the Champions League final last year. As hilarious it was how they lost it. They are at the moment a fucking top club, if not the best club in the country. Anything else, I can't see us getting a draw. The prediction league I do with Daniel, he went for 2-0 Arsenal. I went for 5, and I'm not being just unduly negative. It's just the team as it is at the moment. If it was the team who won the final last year, minus a couple of players, but with 3 or 4 good additions, I'd be backing us absolutely. But to rip the team apart like we have, and have so many of the new players injured anyway, I can't see how we're going to get through it without being ripped apart. But who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. Who knows? But anyway, that's it for now. I'm hoping this comes out all right with the back on the old microphone, because it definitely sounded better on the test. I'm gonna have a good listen anyway. But hopefully it's a lot better. And that wasn't too massively depressing, because it's depressing listening to it, quite honestly. But hey, I said right from the start, it's going to be honest, it's going to be real, raw, whatever. I'm not bullshitting it. I'm just telling it like it is. So anyway, take care, everyone, and we'll speak soon. Goodbye.
Am I the only one who quit singing along every time they play Springsteen?